Might be Van was dreaming. She could sense the door was unlocked by pressing the correct password. She could hear a group of men. She moved a little and could feel she was embraced by a strong person. Stop moving, she heard. She couldn't move but opened her eyes, yet didn't dare to move her head. I'm in Korea, in Jun's house and in his arms. It's night and I wasn't dreaming. There are people in his house. She tried to gulp down and realized how thirsty she was. When John, I'm thirsty. Can you please release my frame from your embrace? I need to drink. But instead of being freed, she was embraced by Namjoon more tightly. As Namjoon sat on the bed, she was seated on the bed too. He raised his hand and took the water bottle from the side table. Drink. His voice was heavy, husky, but one couldn't deny the hint of carefulness in his tone. She took the water bottle and started drinking. You know, there are more people in the house. I first thought I was dreaming, but they are my younger brothers and maybe the company staffs. Sounds like they have enjoyed the last night and that is really taking the peak. It's kicking in. Namjoon was gently caressing her hairs when they heard something like glass shattered and Namjoon could identify the Magnus howling. I think I need to go. Namjoon immediately got out of the bed and walked into the living area. Van was curious. What if Jun's brother was injured? She could hear their conversation, and after 10 minutes, they were still talking. Putting on Jun's shirt, she was about to lie down when Jun opened the door. Van looked at him blankly. Namjoon, I would like to introduce you to my brothers. Please come. Namjoon noticed Van was wearing his shirt. His lips curved. Van had no idea what was waiting for her. As she entered into the living area, she first noticed a tattooed man with baby face. As the man noticed her, his jaw dropped. And unfortunately, he stumbled. Van reacted instinctively and noticed there was a cut on his leg. In no time, bleeding started from the injured area. Stop there. Don't move. She looked at Namjoon. Call the doctor. The man on the couch is our physician and as you can see, he is drunk. Namjoon replied. We actually never took any step without the company's consent. I just can't take him to a random hospital. We are just bounded. One looked at him. She tried to figure out how one can be left like that, and then she realized how she couldn't do many things for the tag she owned. She realized being artist, the group of men had limits too. She looked at him blankly and soon realized multiple pairs of eyes were fixed on her. Hi, she awkwardly greeted Namjoon with a gentle smile on his face. This is Van, my girlfriend, and Van, they are my brothers, Jimin, Taehyung, and the wounded one is the youngest one. He is Jungkook. Hopefully, they haven't fallen asleep. Van walked towards the wounded man. Nice to meet you. I'm Van. If you allow me, I can help you with the first aid. Jungkook chuckled. If you find a first aid kit in this house, you can definitely. Wan blinked a few times and tried to understand what the tattooed man just said. Looking at her innocent face, Jakub chuckled. I guess you're new. Don't worry. Taehyung Hyung and Jimin Hyung will help you. If they find a band-aid, I will let you to cover the cart with that. You mean brand doesn't matter? Wan knew the tattooed man was testing her. Wan's words made Jungkook suspicious. Of course not. He paused for a moment. As your Hyung's girlfriend, you should know his place properly. Taehyung Hyung and Jimin Hyung will help you to bring the first aid kit, and believe me, none of us know where is it. I doubt it might not exist. Jungkook playfully raised his pierced one eyebrow. What do you think? Still wanna continue the doctor game? You little girl? Wen turned her face and looked at the boys. They were cute, handsome, indeed had a few drinks, but they were not drunk. Hi, can you please bring the blue bag from the black backpack? Jim was about to move when Jungkook interrupted. You should address him properly. He knew Wen had no idea about their name. Wen immediately replied, Oh, I asked help from the cute one. We all are cute, Miss Van. Please be specific. A little bit more? Jungkook cleared his throat. I mean, one with colored hairs? Please, don't waste time. Wen requested. Jimin, she has chosen me. It means I'm the cute one. Taehyung exclaimed in joy. I also have colored hair. What's about me? Jimin wasn't ready to give up. Oh please, can you stop fighting? Just bring the black backpack here. Wen almost scolded them. Standing from a distance, Namjoon was just smiling. Wen was looking at Jungkook's wound. It wasn't serious enough, but she was tensed because she doubted whether she hadn't brought enough wound closure strips or not. She raised her arm while looking at the wound. Quick! Jungkook took a cold water bottle, intended to give her, but as she touched the cold surface of the bottle, she quickly responded, shook her hand, and accidentally hit her fingers to the leg of the chair Jungkook was sitting. Ouch! She quickly closed her mouth. Closing her eyes, she tried her best to control her pain. Here is your backpack, Van. Jimin handed her the backpack and she randomly threw a few things out of the backpack to find the first aid kit. She glanced at her fingers. It wasn't bruised yet, still she could feel the level of pain was increasing. She raised her face. It was Taehyung who was next to her, noticed a few papers, probably the soft copies of some of her documents. Van. Hey cutie, need your help. Can you please tell me which apps should I need to install for communication in Korea and what's the best hospital near this location? Taehyung noticed how carefully Van did the first aid. You can use Google? He casually shrugged his shoulders. The best hospital near this location might be the Viridul Spine Hospital, but that's famous for treating spinal cord related problems. Van nodded. Thanks. She formally smiled, looking at Namjoon. Looks like you're a little responsible than them. Don't forget to take him to the doctor or hospital tomorrow. She stood up and took a few steps towards Namjoon. It was nice to meet you. I don't think I still have the potential to stay here. And as you can't cross your limits, I can't even ask you to come with me. Bye. What? Why? Namjoon looked at her. He was beyond being just surprised, and then he noticed her fingers. It was already bruised. He carefully noticed she was gritting her teeth to endure the pain. Do you need me to go with you? I think it's fractured. It needs to be treated as soon as possible. Bye, Namjoon. She took out her wallet and sighed before getting out of the house. Well, stop. You are not even in your country. You don't know anything. Namjoon followed her. Are you sure you are allowed to accompany me? Wen raised her face and asked him. It's late at night. You might not get a cab. Your safety is more important, Van. Namjoon took the car keys. Can I take you to the hospital where we are treated? Call your tattooed brother then. He needs to get a tetanus shot. Van suggested. Are you sure? I mean, he's little drunk and he was literally acting like a brat. Namjoon hesitated for some reason, but Van's suggestion had already won over him. He's just a baby, younger than me, a little stubborn, but he's wounded. Van rolled her eyes. Give me your car keys. I will be waiting for you two in the car. Namjoon nodded and went back into the house. At the same time, Van needed some time. It was abroad and she was in a situation where she might need surgery. She didn't have any idea how she would pay for the medical expenses as she had a limited amount of Korean won with her. The amount might be enough for casual shopping and traveling, but it wasn't enough for surgery. She took her phone and called her best friend, but unfortunately, the call wasn't answered. Wen was tensed. She was in pain. She was in her weakest situation, but she couldn't break down. In that situation, she couldn't even afford to collapse. And Jungkook knocked. Hey, how are you? Wen sighed in the backseat. Tried to smile. You have to break the rules for me. I'm sorry. Now, can you please hurry up? Who's gonna drive? Jungkook playfully chuckled. Namjoon Hyung doesn't want a driving license. Oh, can you please book a cab for me, please? Her voice was almost choked in pain. She tried to move her arm with already swollen fingers in a little more comfortable position. You were wounded. Namjoon doesn't have driving license. Others are drunk. Wow. Why don't you drive yourself to the hospital? Jungkook just asked her the question when he noticed her fingers. He realized she wasn't acting to gain sympathy. My wound is not that much severe. I can drive. He opened the door and carefully got into the driver's seat. Namjoon hesitated a little to sit beside her. She was wounded and he was aware of his clumsy nature. He was about to open the door of the passenger's seat when he noticed Jungkook gesturing him to sit beside Van. Namjoon silently sighed as Jungkook finally started accepting her as his partner. Namjoon noticed Van's face. It was glistened with a thin layer of sweat. Her eyes were trying to hide how scared she was. Without any hesitation, he embraced her. He made her head to rest on his broad chest. He could sense how she was controlling herself from breaking down. Are you worried for the expenses? Namjoon asked directly. I'm not in my country and I have limited access to my money. Isn't it obvious? Wen confronted him, but immediately the tattooed man in the driver's seat interrupted. Your career depends on your fingers. Obviously, your recovery is important and we are here. Jungkook stopped the car in front of the hospital. Wen was taken to the emergency ward of the hospital. Doctor, can you please check her finger injury? Namjoon requested the doctor. The doctor casually chuckled. Is she your fan? Unfortunately, not. Namjoon chuckled. Let me check her. The doctor carefully examined her fingers. Obviously did the x-ray. It's not a fracture, the doctor informed, and Namjoon sighed in relief. Look, you were overthinking. And the doctor finally concluded. It's broken. Hyun just nodded. May I ask you how long it would take? Namjoon looked at her. You aren't surprised? No, it's quite obvious. After the small conversation, one looked at the doctor. Regional anesthesia? The doctor nodded. Yes. He glanced at Namjoon's blank face and chuckled. Don't worry, it would hardly take 20 minutes. I have informed to prepare the OT. Soon the nursing assistants came and took her for the pre-operative test for the OT. Namjoon looked at her. He realized it might be the last time he was seeing her. He had only a few hours before his enlistment in military. He felt helpless, kind of anxious, thinking that when it was time for him to leave, she might still be in the recovery room. He never imagined this scenario. Who is she, Namjoon? The doctor asked. There are reporters outside the hospital. If she is someone important to you, I will take care of her privacy. Please. Namjoon never thought that one day he would be choked up emotionally for a person. It feels so bad when the realization hits hard that it was the last time we met each other. Namjoon, wanna stay with her during the OT? The doctor suggested. Namjoon wasn't ready to accept the fact that they were going to be separated soon. Even during the operation, it might be difficult to see her, but he nodded. The surgery was successful and Wen was shifted to the recovery room. Because of the anesthesia, she fell asleep. Yeah, how is she? Jungkook managed to get permission to enter into the recovery room and noticed his Hyung was holding her hand tightly. The doctor told me. Jungkook paused for a moment. What happened? I feel like I'm seeing her for the last time in my life. And believe me, there is no basic science or superstition behind this thought yet. I don't want to witness this moment. Will you stay here with her? I want to get another chance to see her. Namjoon almost pleaded in a raspy voice. Jungkook nodded. Jimin Hyung informed me about everything happening outside and also told me to stay here and don't forget to bring a ring. You must give her a ring as a goodbye gift. Good idea, Cook, and take care of your Hyungsoo in my absence. Namjoon had to leave the place as he was bounded by time. Hyung? Jimin sighed in relief. Thank God you come back. I was so worried for you. What happened, Jimin? Namjoon entered into his house and saw the 95 liners had already packed his stuffs. He sighed in relief as he could calculate that at least he had the time to pick a ring for one. Thanks for packing my stuff. Where is Taehyung? Aren't you going with me? We are too ready, but I think you should go through a few papers that one had left in the house. Taehyung joined the conversation. And what's written on the papers? Namjoon casually asked him just before Taehyung could hand those to him. These are the photocopies of Van's documents. Namjoon took a few moments to go through the documents, though he knew it was impossible to know a person just by going through some of her documents, but it was better than knowing nothing at all. Hyung, we must leave within 5 minutes. Taehyung knocked on the door. Jimin told me that we are going to stop somewhere before going to the hospital. Namjoon Hyung is going to buy a ring for Van. Jimin exclaimed from the living room. Are you going to propose her? Oh, I'm so excited. Namjoon could feel the excitement in Jimin's voice and glanced at the clock. He still had enough time, but as he didn't want to pick the ring in a hurry, he got up from the chair he was sitting. Taehyung, stopped by the jewelry shop. Hearing Namjoon's voice, they glanced at him. Are you really going to propose her? I and Van are definitely not anything like one night stand. She and I are worlds apart. I don't know if I will ever meet her again in this lifetime. That's why I was thinking about a goodbye gift, a ring for her injured finger. Namjoon sighed. Good. How is she? Namjoon asked the magnate about Van. She is fine and has been transferred into the cabin. Probably she is still sleeping, Jungkook informed while leading them towards Van cabin. She is still sleeping? Namjoon frowned, but the next moment it turned into a smile. Rest well. Van was still drowsy from the anesthesia, but sensing people's existence, she opened her eyes. How's your wound? Van muttered. Fine, Jungkook chuckled. You are the only one who have asked me about my wounds. When I have to go. She felt someone was piercing her hair. Can you please don't go? I knew it was Namjoon. She raised her face to see him, but her vision was too blurred to focus him. I mean, you have to do your job, but still, if it's possible, can you stay here until you recover completely? Namjoon took her non-operated hand and placed her palm under his cheek. I love you, Van. So, she looked at him. She had too many things to ask, but she couldn't decide what to ask. I have prepared a goodbye gift for you, a ring, for your operated finger. Will you put on this after your recovery? Namjoon sniffed. If you promise me that you will meet me again. Van looked at him. She wanted the assurance. If you don't change your address, if you don't change your job, or you stay in my apartment in Korea, I will meet you. Promise. Namjoon rubbed his eyes. But now, I need to go. Take care of yourself, Van. Van, don't be angry. I'm leaving you under compulsion. Namjoon tried to clarify. Don't hate me, Van. Namjoon, just remember, you will never be unloved in my story. Van kissed his cheeks. Take care of yourself.